The coaching unit at North End at the moment, you've got plenty of experience. Stuart McCall, hundreds of games as a player and a manager. Hecky, vastly experienced as well. That must be so beneficial to the North End lads to have three extremely experienced members of the coaching staff leading things on.
I think it's important, not just for the players, but for us as well as coaches, because obviously Hecky and Mako, they've worked together many a times, know each other inside out. But I think in times where it's just a different voice, different opinion, and a different relationship in how we work and how we see the game, and just making sure that that we are there for the same reasons of wanting to help the players. So that's the thing. It's about what do we do to help these players become better, and just having us three, and obviously Poles and Lids as well, the games that Lids has played, and Murph. It's just having those people there that can understand the game and understand, right, this is the needs now of the championship, and it's now down to you being able to handle these needs, and for us to be able to give them as much as we can to make those things easier from a match day. We know every match day is different, it's never easy, but it's from what we give them, not just on a football level, but on a personal level as well, to try and get them to be as good as they can every day.
How much reminiscing goes on, sort of from your career, from Hecky's career, from Maka? Do you know what I mean? You sort of say
there is a lot, because it's one of those, because
you must have played against each other. And
but the thing is,
you must have scored against Polly.
I don't know, probably. But no, because one of the things is quite early, me and the gaffer had a conversation, and in 93, when I was 95 as a second year apprentice, we played Manchester United in the FA Youth Cup semi-final, and the first leg was at Old Trafford, and I didn't realise Hecky had started at United.
He wasn't quite the class of 92, was he?
A couple of years later.
he was there.
A couple of years later, I didn't realise that he started at United, and he was talking about that semi-final, and I think he just missed out through injury, and was just talking about the players and stuff like that, and I was like, wow, I didn't know that. I knew of his career after. I didn't realise that he started as a young kid at United. But yeah, because very similar ages, knew the similar players and the age groups of like that type of era and things like that. And obviously you got Maka, who's just I can't say a bad word about Maka, the older of us lot, more wise and more experienced. And even for me, when I hear some of his stories, or even the games that he's played in and the players that he's played with, and I'm like, yeah, but I can remember that. And I'm like, remember him playing for Scotland with the white and the blue, like the blue striped shorts, and just little things, and Macca's little ginger hair just
it's got to be the Barnet with Macca. That's what everyone remembers.
I think I can remember Stuart McCall. But no, it's just, regardless what people might, I said obviously the older head, but football's football. And people sometimes go, oh, it's old school. It's not. It's football, and it was football at that time. Is not that much different to what it is now. Everything's still the same. Things evolve, but the game's still the game. And just having different minds that understand the game and see the game in different ways doesn't mean that way's the right way or that way's the wrong way. It's just about how we see it all together to make us give our players the best opportunity to win games.
And in terms of, for you, training, in terms of, do you training sessions? Do you have sort of ones that you're putting on? And
yeah, with the gaffer, he mix the matches in terms of the voices as well. The voices in terms of certain practices. Maka might do a passing and a possession. Murph might do a possession and some defending. I might do a possession and some forward work, or individual or team stuff. And the gaffer sets it out in the areas that he wants on certain days. But sometimes it's more about the voices as well, and the different voices. Because I think with players, when you hear the same voice over and over again, it can get quite monotonous. Mm-hmm. And not that again. But it's allowing the gaffer to sometimes step back, so they're not always hearing him. Not saying they always do, but where it's he can now see training from a different viewpoint, because he's not taking that part of the session. He can see it from here and see different pictures. Similar if I'm doing a session and Macca's taking it's the way that it's designed, where we all have our input, but it's also a way of where we can all see what we're looking for as well. So I might be looking, even if it's possession game, I'm looking at what the defenders are doing as well as the attackers are doing. But yeah, the focus may be on what the attacking players are, but you still want to have a look at what your defenders are doing in a way of, well, if I'm putting my centre forward head on, that's not the quite right thing to do, even if it's possession or defence via attack. So you're always looking at, say, it's the game. Always looking at the game, and it's yes the practice, but the practice always leads to the game. So it's good that the dynamics works with us, and that those players can get the different voices and the different advices and help they need.
Did you enjoy training as a player? Because now you're doing it as a coach.
Yeah, I did. Loved it because
I didn't. I was all about the match day for me.
Nah. So I don't want to name him. I used to have a coach used to tell me that that you should always train the way that you play.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get my head around that. But I understand it to a point. But I always trained as in, right, what's today's training? Right, so I'm focusing on this. Because I know that this is going to get me ready for the game. But running around sometimes like a madman and doing this and doing that, that's not always the be all and end all, because you can miss something. You're probably overexerting yourself, and then when it does come to the match day, you're putting yourself in more jeopardy. I know, like now, all of a sudden we have the sports scientists that are now going about red zones and off it. I get all that. But you can train as in, what's the session, what's the content? Now, if it's X, right, I have to train like this because it's that. If it's this, I'll have to train like this because it's this. Sometimes where it is, I've got to do a finishing drill. And when I'm saying is, when we work. So it's bang, 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 then we rest. And then sometimes it's the way of how we tweak that to make that be either a little bit longer, where they can get fatigued, because that's what's going to happen in the game. When they're fatigued, will they still look like, how are they striking the ball? What's their finishing looking like? But coming back to the training one, it was always, I love training, because you got the ball. The balls are out. Obviously in pre-season, we didn't see a ball for the first 2-3 weeks. But it was always, if the ball's out, that's like you're in a good and happy place. But I always sort of looked at it as, I'm working towards the big picture, which was the game on a Saturday.
2 strikers on the pod, Euell, Mels. Tell us, Euell, about the forwards at North End at the moment. What are they like to work with? All different types of forwards. You've got Keane, Osmajic, Dan, of course. You've got other forward players as well in the mix. What are they like to work with?
They've all been great, and one of the first things I said to them was, like, I'm here for you guys. So whatever it is that you want doing, or you want help with, or want to improve with, just come and speak to me, because it can be very easy for me to go at the end of the session, right, we're going to go do some finishing, and I'm going, right, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Like, that might not be what they want or need. So I've always said to them, what is it that you want, I'll put it on for you. And that's how we've sort of built the relationships. Like you said, they're all very different. But what they're doing now is they're all working with each other now. So I might have 2 or 3. A 4th one comes over and says, okay, can I join in and do this one alongside him? So that part of that is them now starting to understand how each other plays and what each other's strengths are, and still having that good competitive edge as well when it comes to the finishing that they're doing, or the attacking play, where they're making sure they want to get the crosses in, they want to make sure they score goals. So they're making it competitive, as well as the fact of they're still learning and improving themselves, but also benefiting and helping the teammate as well.
So is there like an element of self-analysis to that, where one of the boys might come to you and say, Euell, I want to work on my one-on-one finishing, or I want to work on my heading inside the 6-yard box, and you'll go, right, no problem, you'll set up a drill, and then other boys will jump in and say, I fancy getting involved with that as well.
Or sometimes it's asking them how they want it, because like you said, it's like they want to do 1v1 finishes. I can say, okay, right, 1v1, but what type of 1v1 finishes? Is it you coming in from the left wing, having to beat a defender, or is it just you coming in, say, from the left wing and you're going at the goalie, or is it a central one? So it's asking them, okay, what type? Because it's very easy to go, okay, we'll start from the halfway line and
just run in a straight
line.
Run
a straight line.
Yeah.
Doesn't really happen as often. So it's asking them, well, how do you want it? So I'll have some finishes from the edge of the box. okay, right, what does that look like? Is it a cutback from the byline? Is it you coming onto it from the edge of the box? And it's very easy to go, all right, we just keep passing it along the ground. And I'm like, no, because sometimes it's not always going to be along the ground. It's going to be the bouncy ball. And I always call, I swear to swear there. I always say like,
feel free, we got a bleep button.
Oh, you got a bleeper. I always say it's like, I'm going to throw you a one. So a bouncer. So it's like, you've got to take a touch or take it first time. So I always mix it up in terms of trying to make it as, well, it's always in realism to the game, but always asking them what types is it that they want, rather than me going, right, we're doing this, we're doing that. For me, it's always going off of experience. That's how I throw it to them. And fortunately, I was playing as a midfielder and as a forward throughout my career. So when I do have conversations with them, I speak to them sometimes from a midfielder's point of view, in terms of knowing what you want as a forward, because I've played there. So I can sometimes give them both angles, as in, right, if I'm now the midfielder and I've now got the ball in a half turn and now I've turned and looked forward, what am I going to want from you? So I'm sometimes trying to get them to be thinking like, now, what would I be wanting if I was that midfielder from my forward? And so sometimes I'm putting them in different positions on the pitch and then making them think about that as well. But I said, I always go from like my playing experiences and trying to give them that as much as possible. But I always look and say is that you can't always tell them how to play and what to do, because when they're out there, those pictures change really, really quickly. We know the things that we want them to do, and we can say, right, I want you to run, we want you to get in the boxes. That's fine, that they should be the given, but there's other informations that you can't always say, you must do that, you must do that, because sometimes the game doesn't always allow that opportunity. So sometimes it's about how they have to think about the game as well, and always important for them to be in the game, but at times just bring themselves out of the game. Sometimes to give themselves a little bit of a head wobble if they've had a bad 5 minutes, or just to sort of see what's going on, to then come back into the game. So they're not always like, it breaks down, they're getting frustrated, it breaks down. Sometimes it's just come out of it for a little bit.
Neil Mellor scored. Preston take the lead. And that's exactly what it means to Neil Mellor to score in the West Lancashire derby.